10, which is in starting a business, that there's 10 steps every entrepreneur needs to know, or every business person needs to know. These are the tools and resources that you're going to need in order to start your business. So no matter what it is, no matter what kind of business it is, no matter where it is, these are some of the basic things that you're going to need in order to do so. If you want to write these things down, or if you want, again, if you want access to this teaching, please go to down below and hit me up down below, and then I'll send you that information. Because I didn't put my contact information on this on purpose, because again, this is teaching you what you need to do in order to start your business and be passionate about it. But if you're interested in more, just hit me below and let me know that you're interested. All right, starting a business, confused about the planning, legal, and regulatory steps you should know. Well, we're going to talk about what you need to know, because it's important to understand that there are some legal things you need to know, there's things you need to plan, and then there's some regulatory steps that you have to do in order to build a successful business. Now, you can do it underground and get away with it, but this is somebody doing a legal business and doing it the right way. All right, many new businesses assume they need to incorporate or become an LLC from get-go or from the beginning. And the answer to that is, depending on the type of business that you have, because you'll hear the big guys talking about having a corporation, but a lot of times these big guys are going after funding, so they want to incorporate, as well as asset protection. So there's some reasons why, and depending on the type of business and business model, you may need to. But but for the most part, which we'll get into in a minute, you don't need to be incorporated. You don't need to be an LLC. You don't need to. Again, we want to help you get started, as simply as possible, and let the business pay for your business expenses. And so one of the ways you would do that, as you start off as a sole proprietor, which we'll get into a little bit more details in a bit, as well as in a different seminar that we do called Show Me the Money, that is available on financebuilders.biz or bizhelp101.com. And I said it real fast because if you go down below, I'll put the links down below for you to find them. But the bigger part is that in starting your business, depending on the type of business, I share, and I'll get into more details another time. But one of the things I do want to share is, say for I share an illustration of one of the customers that I'm working with. He's a trucker, and because he's a trucker, he also owns a bunch of property as well as some other trucks. And so what I told him to do is, because you have great assets, you want to protect your assets. What if you drive and heaven forbid you're over the icy area or water area, just like and you end up running over somebody and 4 people in the car, and your insurance only covers so much, then they go after your personal assets. So you may need to, or if you're a doctor, or if you're like, I have another friend who is a handyman and has a service, and he does roofs and walls, and he does all kind of stuff inside homes and commercial buildings. And I'm like, look, what happens if you put a ceiling in drywall, and the drywall for some reason, or you put in a header that's a 4 by 12 or something like that, that's 4 inches thick by 12 inches long, that comes out of the roof for some reason because it's some faulty something, and it falls on a person and kills them. Well, you're personally liable. So in those cases, you need it. But for if you're starting a clothing company, unless you're going after financing, either through personal credit or business credit, then you won't need to. But to get started right away, we'll talk about what you need is, but you don't have to have a corporation or LLC. The truth is, more than 70% of small businesses are owned in unincorporated sole proprietors. Although even this group is required to register their businesses. So again, you don't have to incorporate. That's one aspect, but you still got to do the laws of the land. So you still need to register business as a business, and so that way you can open up a checking account in the business name, pay your taxes, and take advantage of what America has, which to do for you doing business. Oh, excuse me, got tongue tied. All right, number one, write a business plan. And as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't have to be an 80-page business plan. Matter of fact, we do on bizhelp101.com. As a member, you have access to, we got a couple hundred business plans, and then we have a business plan solution that we have a person that can write your business plan for you. But it's not needed to have a full plan, but you should have as I talked about earlier, a strategic plan. There's a saying I say all the time: those that fail to plan to fail. And that's because I asked one of the rhetorical questions, or questions that I ask in this type of seminar, in a live seminar, is, can you get to, and I live here in California, and I'm off the 10 freeway. And so the 10 freeway runs east and west. And so I asked the question, can you get to Chicago, which is the northern part of the United States, the northeast United States, can you get to Chicago only taking the 10 freeway? And the answer to that is no. So the next question is, well, how do you get to Chicago? There's several ways to get there. You can take the 10, but then you got to go up north. So either you go through Texas, or you go through Louisiana, or you go through Arizona, or there's a bunch of different ways to get there. You can go up through Canada and then drop back down. So there's many ways to get there based upon how much time you have to get there, and how fast you want to get there. So, but you can't get there only taking one route. So you need to plot out your route, so that way you have an understanding. As I said earlier, there's something that we do, which is called the who, what, why, where, and how. The 5 W's and the H. Who are you? Who's your team? What are you doing? What are you planning on doing? What are you what are you selling? Or what service are you offering? What are you charging? And then so on and so forth. And so again, if you want that information, we have a whole book. I have a book called Startup Guide to Business, to start your own business. And so that's available on Amazon and available on our website. So if you want the full book with on how to write a business plan and all that kind of stuff, it's in our book, on that book. So you can, if you want more information, I can put a link down below to let you know where to go to get that book. As well, you do have seminars as well. Number 2, get help and training. And this is a big one, because I also, as a minister of the gospel as well, I work with a lot of churches, and a lot of pastors, for some reason, think that because God gave them a vision to pastor, that they don't need to learn anything or get help. And so what happens is when they get help, they want help their way, versus understanding that if you're hiring a specialist or hiring an expert, that you wouldn't go to a doctor and tell a doctor how to what medicine to prescribe or how to heal you. You're going to them because they're a specialist. So if you go to a business coach or you get some help, then they're the specialist in that field of area that you need, and you need to allow them to help you grow and start your business, because they've already gone through the training. They've either been there and done that through them having their own business, or they've learned through school or in doing research, or a combination of the two. So having an expert in your corner, just like in accounting is my weak suit. So when it comes to accounting and bookkeeping, I got a person that does our accounting and bookkeeping. Why? Because that's not my specialty. I'll do it wrong. I'll miss out on all the benefits of having somebody that's an expert in the land to do it. And at the same time, having a person there that can do that part frees you up to do the things that you're strong in. So in your weaknesses, allow somebody else to help you. Get training, just like you're going through this training now. You're learning how to start your business. It's important you understand that if you don't know, you can know. The more you know, the more successful opportunity for you to be successful. Not that it's going to be perfect, not that every time you have somebody to help you, it works. It takes some other things, but it also gives you the wisdom. So all you're get an understanding. So an understanding and wisdom comes from either you doing things yourself and failing and succeeding, or learning off of somebody else that's already been there and done that. So number 2, get help and get some training, and ongoing training. Just once you start your business, because as technology changes, as the time changes, everything changes. So you need to know what those changing are. Even just like now, I just heard just recently that Walmart is getting ready to close a bunch of Sam's Clubs, because they at the time they opened a bunch and they looked at their books and looked at what they were doing, and they got some help for them to realize that, man, you're killing yourself by having these many stores that are cannibalizing themselves or in rural areas that are costing more money. So they end up laying off a bunch of people, but they got some help and some training on how to do it more effectively. So that way they didn't just close the stores and close everything. They realized by looking at it, getting some training and getting some help, who they needed, what stores they needed to close, what stores need to expand, and so forth. So, and all you're get an understanding by getting some help. A multitude of counsel is going to help you in the long run. Number 3, choose your business location. And this is another big one, because one of the things that I've learned in the long time I've been in business is that you can either get a building. Say for instance, you're going to get a brick and mortar building. We'll start with brick and mortar. So either you're going to pay one way or the other. So if you get a off the because the rent's cheap, you say, oh, I'm going here because the rent's cheap, but it has no foot traffic or drive-by traffic. Then you're going to spend a lot more money in advertising, because you got to still bring you still got to bring the people there. As I said, as a Christian man, that I found a lot of unfortunate Christian business owners, just like even pastors starting churches, they'll think, oh yeah, well, God is giving me this business or giving me this church, and I just got to open the doors and God's going to send the people. No, you got to go compel people to come. The days of just opening the doors, unless you're in a rural area where you're the only business of its kind and everybody's got to pass by you, yeah. But other than that, if you're going to open up a business, you're going to either have to get into a great location where there's a lot of traffic, and make sure you get some signage and all the kind of stuff that you need to do it. Or if you do get move into a industrial center, again, it's based upon your business model and what you're doing. So if you're opening up a attorney's office, you don't need to have you can have a business office in a business center, or some type of office building, and then you got to advertise. If it's being a part of networking events or buying some advertising, like Larry H. Parker, he's been advertising forever, and people advertise, people respond to his advertising and support him. So you're gonna have to advertise like that. Or if you're doing a restaurant, unless say for instance the restaurant is in an industrial center, but it's catering to those people that are mainly in that industrial center, or right by idea is to, like, I have a friend that's getting ready to move back east, because the company that they're going to get ready to start is a catering company, catering to a new manufacturing company that's is going to be open 24/7, and in the area that he's in, there's no restaurants, so he's going to be able to do a food truck and a big his big old smoker, and go out there and do it. But he's going to go right there in that location, and he has he has already a market of people that are going to be right there, so you don't have to go out and get them, they're already there. But if you got to go into a mall, the reason you go into the mall, because the mall advertises, but you pay more for the rent. But at the same time, they're going to bring you thousands of people that you don't have to pay for, because they're going to bring people into your mall. So again, choosing location is important. If you're online, then just like here, I have an online business, and so my place of business is actually in my home office. And so in my home office, I don't have a sign out front. I have to advertise outside of my business. That means going out and getting into the marketplace and advertise and market, if it's through online or traditional marketing, that I do so that way I can get business, or through referrals or whatever else. If I set up a sales team, outside sales team, and they go out. But choosing a location is important, and think about that as you're getting your business set up, where you're gonna locate. All right, number 4. Understand your financing options. And so when you're starting a business, you need to know how you're going to get the money to get it started. Again, we said keep it simple, but at the same time, if you're building, you're doing an eyeglass company, or you're starting some other kind of company, then you need to as we talked about earlier, count the costs, and one of those costs is your financial options. So as we talked about earlier, there's sole proprietor. So when you're doing a sole proprietor, you can't do, you're doing a loan, because between let me start over. So there's sole proprietorship, LLC, and full corporation are the 3 basic business options or business structures. And so with those, and a partnership and a limited partnership. So those are under the sole proprietorship. So in that category. So what happens is you're not under a corporation, so you don't have asset protection, as well as if you're trying to raise funds, it's through loans, because you can't sell stock, so you have to give them. So what happens is there's a difference between a loan and a investment. So with a loan, there's a time period that you have to pay it back. With an investment through a corporation that's either LLC or full corporation, C or S corporation, then they become investors and stockholders and shareholders in the corporation, and they get paid dividends over their investment. So if you're starting a business and you got good credit, then you can use a corporation or your personal credit, either one or a combination of the two, and go after corporate credit to get the money for your business through your corporation. If you're and then what you do is, if you want to go to a bank, then going to a bank, all you need to do is through your corporation, go in there and get a line of credit or a loan from them. You got to pay it back, and it's, as you use it if it's a line of credit, and then if it's a loan, then every month you're paying a monthly note based upon what the agreement is between you and the bank. So look at your options and understand what they do and what the benefits of each. We have a full, as I talked about earlier, finance builders as well on YouTube have a seminar called oh my gosh, what the heck is it called? It's called Show Me the Money. And the Show Me the Money seminar, it goes through all the differences between sole proprietorship, LLC, partnership, and S Corp and C Corp. So it goes into full details about it. So take a look at that video, and that will help you to understand all the dynamics of that and how to raise funds and other people's money in the different ways you use, that you can get other people's money to help you, if it's either a bank or a personal loan or private investors to help you, angel investors. And there's something that called oh my gosh, my brain just went dead again. I'm getting old in my young age. Excuse me. Crowdsourcing, that's really big online as well, that you can use as well to get funds. And again, I'm not going to go into great details, but you need to understand what is your funding options, so that way as you start to operate and start your business, then you can look at those options. You can do one, two, or a combination of all the above in order to raise the funds in order to build your business. Number five, decide on a business structure. That means that if you're going to be a sole proprietor, LLC, partnership, general partnership, S corporation, or C corporation. And again, all those have tax implications. Some have asset protection. Limited liability is limited liability, so there's still some liability that can be assumed based upon what happens in your business. A full corporation, which is a C or a S, is full asset protection. And so you have, long as you stay in corporate compliance, that you have full protection, as well as you can sell stock in your company, sell shares and stock in your company to raise funds. And so, and again, it's kind of a part two of the last one we just talked about, which is understanding your financing options. This one is your business structure. So based upon how you're going to go after money is going to be how you're going to decide on the business structure. So if you're just going to get some friends and family to loan you some money, then you don't necessarily have to be incorporated unless you're going to give them stock. So if you're going to give them stock in the company, then you need to go ahead and formalize either LLC, S corporation, or C corporation. Again, you can go to financebuilders.biz and take a look at that. We have a ton of teaching for that to help you. That breaks down each and every one. Again, we're not tax preparers, not tax attorneys. We're business consultants. Been doing it a long time. So you may want to consult with one of them as well if need be. But we've been doing it a long time, and we're not going to lead you the wrong way. Our goal is to help you do business the right way. But again, just like you tell a person to go get a second opinion, you're more than welcome to get a second opinion. So decide on the business structure based upon your business model, based upon how you're going to raise the money in order to do business. Number 6, register your business name as a DBA. And that's one of the things that if you're a sole proprietor, and again, I don't want to break this down and get too caught up on it because it's a whole seminar all by itself. But if as a sole proprietor, then you do something called a DBA, which is doing business as, and then you will go down to your county registrar's office in any county, like here we're in California, so Riverside, LA, San Bernardino County, LA County, all the counties have a county registrar's office, the same place where you go for voters registration, the same place where you go for get your wedding certificate and other things at the county registrar's office. So you will go there and register there, and then once you do that, then you got to put it in a newspaper to let people know that you're doing business, that you're planning on doing business at this name, and it's 30 days before you actually are granted. I mean, most times that once they give it to you, they've already done a search, so you got the name, but it's local. So what happens is a DBA is local, a state which is a corporation, LLC, limited or C corp or S corp are statewide. So what happens is with a DBA, it's the county that you're working in. that you're going to be operating your business in, so no one can use that name in that county based upon you having going to the county registrar's office. But when you want to say, for instance, you want to expand and you want to, you're going to be working all over the state, you don't want somebody else to have your name, then you go get a corporation which protects the name in that state. If you want a federal, then you will go get a trademark. And a registered trademark is a national trademark for the United States, and then you can go overseas and do the same thing overseas based upon whatever countries you're going to be doing with, what states and countries that you're going to be working with overseas. So again, you need to register doing business as. If you don't do if you do a corporation, then you don't need to do a DBA. You just don't, you just need to go get, which is next, get your tax ID, which is an EIN or TIN, which is employer identification number, tax identification number. And so those are from the IRS, and you will go to, once you get those other things, you will go in and get your EIN number. It's free of charge, and so that way it's like your social security number. There's two ways of doing it. One, and I should have put it on there and I didn't, so I apologize, but it's not necessarily needed when you're just getting started. But one of the things that you will need if you're going after funding and using your corporation for funding, you'll have to get something called a Dun & Bradstreet or DMB number, which both of those work as what is called so it's basically your social security number. But in business, from Dun & Bradstreet, it generates a paydex score, and that paydex score is just like a FICO score for your personal credit. Paydex score is through Dun & Bradstreet, and they go through Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, just like on your personal credit. It's the same thing on the business side, but Dun & Bradstreet is primarily one for that. And so if you're going after funding, you need your tax ID number as well as your Dun & Bradstreet number in order for you to go after funding. You don't have to have a Dun & Bradstreet. If you never plan on going after funding and get credit, then you don't have to do a Dun & Bradstreet, because there is a fee for it. And again, I don't want to get too caught up in it, but you do need those. If you're going to go after funding, then they're going to look at your paydex score. If you don't have one, and the only way it can be really generated is through Dun & Bradstreet. So you have to go in. I mean, Experian has it, but 99% of the business community in the United States uses Dun & Bradstreet because they've been around the longest and doing it the longest. All right, number 8. Register with tax authorities, and again, that ties along with one of the things you'll need to do if you're going to be selling retail products or wholesale products. Then you need to get something like here in California, it's California State Board of Equalization. There's something called a seller's permit, and that seller's permit allows you to go to wholesalers and manufacturers and purchase wholesale that you're going to resell it and mark it up and resell it, and you're going to charge, based upon the product, you're going to charge sales tax. With every city, every county is different, every city is halfway different. So based upon the city, then I give you a formula, maybe 9%, maybe 10%, or 9.5, or 9.75, or whatever the tax that you do. Then you send them their taxes, and then there's also another one that I just learned about years ago and didn't understand it, because I wasn't owning the businesses, I was only leasing, which is called the Franchise Tax Board. And the Franchise Tax Board is another one that you need to go ahead and register with as well if you have a brick and mortar. If you have an online business, you don't have to worry about it, but if you're a brick and mortar, then the Franchise Tax Board, based upon the square footage of your building and how much money you make, then there's a formula they come up with. It's different than what the IRS does, and so you need to make sure you get those two done, because I made the mistake, and again, I can share my mistakes, that I didn't deal with the Franchise Tax Board because I didn't think I needed to. They hit me with a bill that showed up, guess what? Showed up on my personal credit, because I was doing it through my personal business, and I using my social security number because I wasn't incorporated. And so just because I wasn't incorporated, guess what? They got me. They were able to go into my personal account and take out money on my personal account to pay off the bill. So if you're a corporation, they can't do it through a corporation because it's its own entity. And 2, you need to do it anyway. So just to let you know, Franchise Tax Board and the reseller's number with the resale permit from the State Board of Equalization for whatever state you're in. And there may be other things that you need as well, like number 9, apply for permits and licenses. So most cities require some type of business license. If you're in incorporated areas, you may just need a DBA, depending on the incorporated or whatever you are. Check in the city that you're in to find out what it is in order to get what business plan you need to get. Business license you need to get, or the licenses you need to have in order to do business the right way, so that way you don't get hit later on for not doing it. And number 10, depending on your business, hiring employees. So having your own little HR department, having some policies and procedures in place, and all that kind of stuff is something you need to think about. Because again, as I work with all these businesses, and it happens a lot in churches a lot, because churches use a lot of volunteers that they don't have, they don't have an HR department that vets the people before they go to work for them, as well as, as well as having policies and procedures in place, applications and interviewing and all that kind of stuff that you need to have, and how many employees you're going to need, and having a job description for them, and knowing what they want to do, and putting together the procedures, so that way when they come to work, you have greater opportunity for success, because you have vetted them as well as have the right information. So get some training on that. There's great software out there for HR, as well as seminars and training for you to learn how to do that. So that way you'll have a better opportunity for success. Because I've had people that were 1099ing people, for instance, and so they're trying not to do workman's comp, but end up biting them in the other end, because as a 1099, if they're actually employees and they got hurt, then there was nothing there to protect them, because they weren't making enough money to get their own insurance. And so technically, you should, if you're going to have employees, which is something you got to decide, depending, like a lot of times plumbers and some certain type of companies, or like what are those people called, home repair guys and handyman and those kind of folks. They have subcontractors, so they 1099 them, because they're technically not employees of the company. But if you're going to be doing certain things that they're going to be working in-house, again, see a tax preparer, so that way you understand how to do it, and they can walk you through the process. That's one of my weaknesses. I had to get somebody else to help us with that, and to help build us with our business model, so that we won't get in trouble with the IRS or get in trouble with the federal government. Because if somebody gets hurt in your business and you don't have workers' comp, they're going to get you. And so learning about hiring employees and what you need to do, get involved in doing some seminars. So that's it for us tonight. And I hope something has been said to encourage you, first and foremost, that if you had an idea and a thought and a concept of starting your own business, one, because you've watched this seminar, we have a free membership that's available to you on bizhelp101.com. If you see there, so go there and put my username in. When they ask for it, referral name, it should have been referral name, Brian AC is going to ask you for it, so that way you'll get the free membership. And I know who you are, and that way I can follow up with you as well. So go to bizhelp101.com. That's bizhelp101.com for a free membership. And as you join, we have tons of courses and classes for free that you're able to attend. We got a lot of helps and articles and helps to help you to start your business. And then through email, you have access to in your free membership, that if you got any questions, hit us up by email, and we'll gladly help you with your business, because our goal is to help you to be successful. My name is Brian Cochran. I hope, again, something's been said or something's been done that will help you to be successful in starting your business, grow your business, and that you'll do it because it's the right thing to do, because working a job stands for just over broke. Talk to you soon now. Bye-bye.